So this is the final episode. It is the Blooper special. From the previous recordings of the episodes you've listened to the above, we had a bit of fun while recording of lines going wrong, word mishaps, the whole lot. So enjoy the ride of the shenanigans.
And I feel like that's kind of the nature of this project. So I'm Rebecca. I work for Remode Renfrewshire, and we're doing a series of workshops to make podcasts with 16 to 25-year-olds to talk about Paisley's mill history. And basically, it's just been did I say I was Rebecca?
Yes, you've already said you're Rebecca.
He was trying not to break so hard there. Everyone else is
I
breaking.
can contain myself.
I'm
I
a
promise,
professional.
guys. I promise.
I did not expect her to be the one that breaks. I won't lie.
I expected it to be me.
You really curveballed it there. So
What's
anyway,
gonna
right.
be you next?
Sorry, guys.
Right on the park.
But my maiden name is Helen Foley McGillicuddy McCrudden. The McGillicuddy doesn't exist. I just put it in there because it actually sounds so wonderful, right? So you can take it out. Anyway.
I find a lot of people in Paisley still use a lot of Scots dialect, which was very surprising when I moved down here. And a lot of people don't understand me, which is quite funny. Some people actually believe I'm American, surprisingly, which is, I guess, due to the Invernessian accent.
Did you guys know that Paisley used to be called, and still probably is, called Seastu?
No.
See, I never heard that. Never heard that.
That's the Gaelic for it, isn't it?
What it was I asked on Facebook, which is the Holy Grail, like the Paisley group, because I was like, because
I think I saw that post with the answer in it.
That's where you get all your perfect positive feedback for Paisley, and of course the internet's never wrong.
We love the Paisley crowd.
It's not Paisley. It wasn't Paisley crowd. It was just Paisley. But Seastu was a weekly comic published in Paisley in 1880 for the price of a penny. So since then, it's the nickname for the town of Paisley, and it has been since 1830. And they called Glasgow Keeleys, Glasgow people Keeleys, and someone not born in Paisley was an Uitlander.
Yeah, I was watching a documentary, and when the Highlanders, the women came and worked in the factories, they were at the first pretty much they weren't like, I don't want to say not welcome, but they were definitely met with hesitation. Like, I don't know what it was about it, like take their jobs or whatever, but they were pretty much cast as Outlanders at the start, which is really sad to hear.
I think my family, when they first came over to Paisley, would be considered Outlanders as well, because they came over from Ireland in the early to mid 1800s, passed through Paisley.
You know, but down at the Mills we generally tell the story of Christian Shaw, who became Christian Miller, you know, by the witches of Bargarden, and you know, I don't know if you know the story of Christian Shaw and Christian Miller. Did you know the story? Slightly?
Not much.
Right, well, I'll start there then. Christian Shaw is an 11-year-old girl caught a housemaid stealing milk. Her father was the Laird of Bargarden, money. A Laird has got land and he's got money. So she caught a housemaid stealing milk. The housemaid's name was Catherine Campbell. Told her mother immediately sacked the housemaid, but before she left the house she said to Christian Shaw, "Let the devil hurl your soul into hell." So Catherine Campbell was deemed to be a witch. 7 people came to her defence. They were deemed to be witches. All 8 were to be hanged and burned at the west end of Paisley. 1 committed suicide, the other 7 were hanged and burned at the west end of Paisley. True story. Mm-hmm. There's a plaque at Maxwellton denoting the part where they were burned. True story. The witches of Bargarden are the witches of Paisley.
There apparently is a Paisley way of speaking, because my lecturer at college, as soon as he starts talking to me, goes, "Oh, I forget you're from Paisley until you start talking." And I personally don't hear it. I don't know.
I find with the Paisley accent it's quite strong. It's a lot stronger than I thought before I moved here. And I do sometimes have trouble understanding people.
I think the Paisley accent is something that you're not really aware of unless someone
points it out.
It's something that if you're from Paisley, you're not necessarily aware of it. But it's like I can notice when someone's from the East End of Glasgow, there's a different accent, or
like I can tell a big difference between the way I speak and the way, for example, you and Jade speak.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you? Is
there's
it?
also there's some words that when Ben talks, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking I've never heard that word before, and it's just a difference between different ends of Glasgow, because I think Paisley is relatively close to Glasgow, and I think a lot of it also depends where your family's from as well, depending what words people use. Because I know I had said, "Oh, someone's gonna have a Benny," like that means someone's gonna have like a hissy fit or get annoyed.
Oh, I've
And
not heard that one before.
I was going to ask. I never heard that one.
Really?
Yeah.
That was really quite common, because there was a boy I went to school with, and his surname was Benny, and it would be he's gonna have a Benny. But then that was also my mum used to say, "Oh, don't have a Benny," if I was getting annoyed about something.
Now, Christian Shaw grew up, met a minister from Comores. His name was John Miller. They get married. Marriage didn't last long because he died 2 years into the marriage. So she decided to go on a European tour with her mother, and they went to Holland. And when she was in Holland, she saw thread being manufactured, linen thread. When she saw the thread being manufactured, she said, "That's how to do it." Brought the ideas back and started manufacturing on her estate in Bargarden. Her mother and her sisters. No father, no husband. Her mother and her sisters were helping her do it. She opened a factory in Johnston. And when she opened the factory in Johnston, her thread became the preferred thread to be used. Now, in that period in time, there was as many as 50 or 60 people manufacturing thread in Paisley. And you Johnson, Nielsen, Kilbarchan, Renfrew, all over people manufacturing thread. The whole length of Scotland and England, her thread became the preferred thread. Her thread was being sold all the way down to Bath and being sold on the continent as well. What she did do was she improved the colour of the thread. She made it a whiter thread than the thread that came back from Holland. Now, what makes this story unique is she's a woman. Women in that era weren't the bosses. Women weren't the elders in churches. Women, didn't own factories, but she did. She owned a factory. Eventually she sold the factory out to the Coates family, moved through to Edinburgh, and she sat in the Board of Commerce. Unbelievable.
Do you think she was
And she opened
motivated by some kind of guilt or something as to what happened?
Well, I don't know. You could speculate that. And she opened 3 spinning schools to teach girls how to spin, sew, embroider. So it's a remarkable life of a woman. For the first half of her life, she's responsible for the burning of the witches, and the second part of her life, she's opened a factory in Johnston. She's then went and sat in the Board of Commerce, and she's also opened 3. So it's a remarkable story. I did a talk at the town hall on behalf of a girl who wrote a book. It's called Red Runs the Witches Thread, and that's her story, was that she'd taken the witches from the first part of her life into the second part of her life. That was the sort of thing behind the book. So that's Christian Shaw, Christian Miller.
Because I'd say there's a big difference between like everywhere for like Airdrie to like Ayrshire, they've got their own slang.
Yeah.
And like everywhere for like Livingston onward, like Edinburgh way, they have their own slang as well. So I'd say it's like the difference between the two.
Is there a big difference between Paisley and Renfrew?
No, they're like 5 seconds away from each other.
I wasn't sure if there was I'm not from here. I was wondering, just because I know in Renfrew there's like I always find with people that are like, oh, we're from Renfrew, not from Paisley. It's kind of similar. I feel like there's a thing with Glasgow and Paisley as well, which is obviously kind of talked about as like, we're from Glasgow, not from Paisley, we're from Paisley, not from Glasgow, which when I moved here I thought it was all the same, I won't lie. Sorry guys. Me and Rebecca were I talked about punks a couple of weeks ago, and we're talking about how there was like the Glasgow punks who used to always come to Paisley, which was really interesting because basically the punk got kind of banned in Glasgow, so they all had to come here, and there was like a friendly rival between them, which was always really interesting to hear.
Well, this is when it was a ban in Glasgow. But at this time in London, the infamous Bill Grundy show featuring the foul-mouthed Sex Pistols had caused widespread condemnation across the country, which resulted in many cities banning any punk groups playing. This resulted in Glasgow City Council following suit. There is silver thread to tell on Paisley's Black Hall Street. There was a promoter and DJ, right, he was called Harry Stewart, but he called himself Disco Harry. And he saw the potential of the city's band as the punk explosion swept the country and thought, well, if they can't play in cities, why not towns? So began Paisley's punk scene. Paisley's punk scene started there, and the groups would go on to become huge names in the music industry, playing weekly for several months. And the buses used to be laid on from Bruce's record store in Glasgow, bring the Glasgow punks in. The Renfrew punks, they'd jump up in the Cunningham's buses, the Payton's buses, they'd come into the centre, walk up in the silver thread, and sort of run back because of the Hunter Hill team after it. And then you get kids from all over Paisley, Johnson, Barhead would all come along to these nights to meet up, chat, talk to the bands before they went on, pogo their hearts out to the Disco Harry's new wave DJ set before the headline acts come on. But you do that, but then it started coming over when punk kicked off here and made it. Then they started coming over to tour about here, didn't they? You know, and that's they made their money actually here, to tell the truth. I remember, I'll tell you a story, a quick one about Angelic Upstarts. They played in Glasgow one night, right? And Johnny Rotten's boys, 4B2s played, and it was a riot. I'll never forget, me and Beanie come outside, right? And Beanie picks up a box of matches. We're going right down Sucky Old Street, and he's like, I'm just two walking along, next minute here's, strike another one of them, and I'm going to punch you all over this street. He's like, turns round, the two biggest skinheads you could have seen. I'm like, Jesus. I says, right, Beanie, just put them away. Next minute, I just seen Beanie's legs going like that. Woof! Turn round. He's giving it, he's swinging it, and then this biting comes to me, and he goes like to grab it, and I've got an old army coat on, right? And he goes to grab me, and I goes like that, and he grabbed it, and he just went, no, whack, and he minded up, and what a scrap that was. I rolled right down most of the length of Sucky Old Street with this guy, right? I wouldn't give in, he wouldn't give in, but I always remember I'm on top of him, right? And all I can hear is, Jam, you can get up, Jam, get up. And I looks, and it's all his mates round me. And I was like, I just got up, and the guy's like, gets up, he says, well, what's happening? I says, well, you tell me, mate, you got your pals. And he goes, good fight, mate. I'm like, cheers, right? So I walked through the cricket, because crowds are all there. I mean, whatever night it was in Sucky Old Street, I get through them all and stood there. There's Beanie with a packet of chips. He's eating chips. Did you watch all that? Aye, but I went in for a bag of chips. Jesus. Well, the week after that, well, there were girlfriends, right, at the Damned in the Glasgow Apollo. We're sitting there, and I looked, and Beanie's faces went white. I'm like, what's it? The guys are all right in front of us. They're all right in front of us, and I remember going, oh no, you know. And but I remember the guy turned around, and he's just like, you alright, pal? I'm like, aye, you alright, mate? He says, aye. Come on, the Damned and all that. That's company. Oh, cheers, pal. Good pal. Great times.
What did that say for the beginning again? Just say whatever you want. Just be like, this is, yeah. Just say it.
You can just have the intro like this because it is a blooper.
Sure.
Here's the intro 4 times.